everyone. It's time for another episode of the Rabbi and I with I and Rabbi Ken Block. How you doing today, Rabbi? I hope everything is good.
Everything is good, and it almost looks like things are going to be good in the Middle East. Almost.
Almost. And this is not the perky positive, absolutely everything is going to get better attitude I come to expect from you.
This meeting that's going to take place tomorrow is structured to fail. It is set up in a way that I'm hoping that at least the hostages get back before it collapses. But I'm not even sure it's going to last that long, because the colonial powers have risen from the grave, and what we're watching is colonialism, and it's colonialism that created the problem that we have in the Middle East. So we're going to solve it by having El-Sisi, the president of Egypt, Trump, the president of the United States. We're going to have the Saudis, the Emirates. There are three people missing who are the three most important people for the meeting. Israel should be there. This involves the troops. It involves hostages. And it even involves Palestine, which is territory that Israel occupies. The Palestinian Authority should be there, because the Palestinian Authority is on the ground in the West Bank, where there's going to be a Palestine that's going to come out of this meeting. For as corrupt as the PA has been, or their misguided steps, they're still on the ground. They're still there. They still have a governing. And finally, Hamas. Hamas is the cause of the problem. They don't care how many Arabs get killed. They don't care how many Palestinians get killed. They're out to use armies and terror. And they should be at that meeting, because the meeting calls for them to give up all their weapons and to surrender and fade away into the sunset. Colonialism is what created the problem in the Middle East. Sykes and Picot, a Frenchman and a British lord, got together towards the end of the First World War and divided up the Turkish Ottoman Empire. They created a Lebanon. Lebanon's not a country, it's part of Greater Syria. They created a Jordan, part of Greater Syria. Then they took the strip of the coast and they divided it all up. But none of the people involved were involved. And then they fed us this line that Israel is a country without people. Now we're going to add people. People were living on the land. And we get into this terrible debate of I was here first, you were here second. Put all that aside, because that's colonialism. Put it all aside and say there were people on the land. But colonialism says we're going to ignore any self-interest. We're going to ignore whoever living in any. Look at Africa, totally colonized. Look at South America, colonized. Here in the United States, colonized. People want to talk about who are the first Americans. Well, our native tribes that we gave smallpox to and throughout. Colonialism is what they're doing here. The president of Egypt, the president of the United States will stand up and they'll beam, look at what we've done. But where are the people you're doing it to? Even though we don't respect Hamas, even though the Palestinian organization is corrupt, doesn't matter. They're on the ground. They're there. They need to be involved. Otherwise, this is doomed.
Well, my biggest concern when I heard the plan was, how is everyone expecting Hamas to cooperate with the laying down of arms and abandoning all their positions? Israel is going to give up control of the Gaza Strip, and it's going to be essentially a second Palestinian state. Isn't that the way it's worded now?
Yeah, that's the way it's worded, and that's why I say it's doomed, and it's going to end up like all the other times that a foreign government try to impose on the people without allowing the people to have enough say in the matter. This would be a great opportunity. It's a great idea of a meeting. So Put the people there, especially if Hamas is going to end up in Transjordan, going to end up on the West Bank, then the Palestinian Authority is going to have to deal with it. But yet these three people are not invited.
I find I cannot say a single thing against it because I'm not going to be the one to rock the boat as long as the hostages are returned, because that's all I want to see happen. And once we have that, then we could talk about what's going to work and what's not going to work. And I share your skepticism on some of those points, but I'm sure the current seated president of the United States is looking forward to becoming finally the king of Gaza, and the hotel chains that he's going to put up there on the streets lined with gold and statues of himself. But I know, Rabbi, I appreciate very much your perspective on this. I'm going to cross my fingers and toes and hope you'll do the same, and join me in wishing peace for at least a little while and a return of the hostages in a day or two.
I agree with what you said about President Trump because that's colonialism. We throw out the people, we build resorts, and then we hire them back below minimum wage. We exploit the local population. That's the definition of colonialism. And we just need to turn to Africa, South America, and the Middle East to see what happens when a higher power comes in and throws people out and then just does stuff to make more money. Never has a good outcome, Joe.